Oh my God. Speaking of portals, guess where the hell I've been? In a damn portal. Okay. So sorry about that. Oh my God. I was sitting here and I was just like, just don't even stress out. You can't stress out. You can't make your computer go. I don't know what it just did. It just glitched for a long time. It was a long glitch. And I restarted it and I mean, it's still like processing. I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, holy crap. Thank you for just being understanding, because if it can go wrong, it will and it does. In my case, in my life, I'm just like I always wait for the other shoe to drop. Anyways, TC says hopefully Chad is crying every day. His mugshot looked like he had been crying a lot, right? To me, it looked like, how when the Men in Black, this just came to me, the Men in Black, and they hold the little pin up, and they're like, like they zap you. That's what it looked like. And then he just looked all crazy, all crazy. I ain't gonna get this right. Anyways, oh my gosh. So yeah, I had 30 minutes. I finished cooking supper. Uh, what else did I do? Shit, it was a lot. Well, and yeah, I had to finish the rice and then I went to my room where I had the transcript pulled up, but it was just like text only, but I could not send it to this computer. And I was like, what the hell? So I was like, okay, I'm just going to pull it up from the documents. We'll just read it from there. No biggie. No biggie. Hey, mom, how's it going? Are you wanting to learn how to portal? You've come to the right place. You've come to the right place, ma'am. Anyways, Visions of Damn Glory. This is the book. uh, don't go buy it. There are other ways to learn more from it. Okay, just know that. Just please don't pad their pockets. Jesus, we don't need them more entitled uh, than they already are. Okay, let's not put money into their pockets. Okay, no bueno. All right, I don't even know where to start. Okay, once upon a time, there was James and Alana. Cringe story that ended up being true. Okay, it's just one of those. Oh, the rest is history, right? Uh-oh. Let me see what she says. She says, I have heard recently that some apostates like Chad and Lori hang out in the temple to convert others to their cults. They have new security measures taken now. Good, good, good. That's relieving to hear. It really is, because they went to a lot of temples. And I mean, I'm not here to bash on anybody. I'm really not. I'd actually prefer, you know, any other way than that. But I mean, this should, and I'm sure it does. I'm sure that it disappointed and disappoints a lot of faithful Latter-day Saints who don't really want their temples and their religion desecrated. Okay? I think we're on the same, we see eye to eye there. I do believe. Okay? And it was shocking to learn how many times they went into the temples, knowing all the while we learned what they were doing the entire time. I mean, and it's just like the gall of these people is astronomical, like that's absurd. And again, it's blasphemous and it's just wrong. And it's like, what made them feel so bold to be doing that, to feel so righteous and to feel worthy, temple worthy, right? Mm-mm. No, no. So I I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about what portaling is. It's taken me a while. I mean, I know the two concepts. There were two concepts in my mind this whole time. It's a subject that I have avoided because I'm just like, okay, if it's what I think it is, oh my God, like how I don't understand. I don't understand. It's just not mainstream enough to, apparently, it's not mainstream enough to be in the court case, as part of the trial. Because this was never talked about in that sense. Everything, okay, the lights just went really dim. Sorry about that. They they don't like me talking about portals. Okay. So let me pull this up too. I knew I was gonna do this. Let's see. Visions. It's a Reddit post. Visions of a glorious thread. It's my favorite freaking write up on the whole story. And I mean, I'm just going to show this to you guys real quick because I want to get the context of these players. Okay, Visions of a Glorious Thread. Let me copy this so I can give it to you. I'll go ahead and put it in the chat. This is the link to this post I'm showing you right now. And it's by Devil's Ravioli. Okay. It was shared on Mormon Stories podcast by Lauren, Megan, and Mindy whenever they went on Mormon Stories podcast to talk about Tom Harrison and Visions of Glory, the whole shebang. Okay. And so this is about Ken Krogh. He's the current president, CMO of the Spear Fund. Okay. Which is Tim Ballard. As soon as he left or got pushed out, in a not so loving way, of his own organization, Operation Underground Railroad, which he founded. Okay. And then uh, whenever news was hitting, it didn't quite hit the public sphere just yet. They knew, OUR knew, the church knew, that this was coming. I believe they got a heads up maybe, and that's why the church probably publicly, um, uh, oh crap, the oh my God, I'm losing it. The church publicly distanced themselves from Tim Ballard because I'm sure they knew what was coming. I mean, it was just days ahead of the civil lawsuits from about, I think there's 7 people, 7 women, well, 1 man and 7 altogether. I'm gonna have to go turn my air off because it's really the lights keep dimming, and I'm so sorry. Um, hold on just one sec. We don't have time for this today, right? Corey Richins, and then now this. She broke my damn computer is what happened. Okay. All the damn crime. Um, anyways. Okay, so yeah, so OUR pushed Tim Ballard out, gave him severance pay, yada yada yada. Um, and then Ken Krogh actually started, the Spear Fund, which is just the same old gig. Being the middleman for something that's unnecessary. Okay. Uh, that's it. Moral of the story. That's what it comes down to. So, and I mean, I do want to show you this. I have not shared it yet because I don't have quite the right context yet I don't know how to really share it just yet. So this is another whiteboard meeting. Um, yeah. And there's a whole lot of doodling. This is pre-2019 whiteboard meeting, okay? A whole lot of writing going on. Ken Krogh, okay? We got a whole lot of names. Glenn Beck, Lindsey Sterling, Governor Herbert, Anderson Cooper, Ellen Cascade, Montel Williams, just all the people. Terry Crews, the Slim family, like Carlos Slim. Yeah, no, Eduardo Verestigi, who ended up being the producer. I think he's the producer for The Sound of Freedom, okay? Which is a sound of bullshit. Just, to put it point blank. So anyways, I don't quite know the context. I don't really have here you go. Here's a pre-2019 whiteboard meeting / whiteboard prophecy is what I call it. Because it goes really well with the whiteboard. I mean the white horse prophecy. Haha, wordplay. So anyways, I mean, just this has been going on. This is well organized, in my opinion. This isn't just, Tim Ballard's latest, especially his latest uh, leaked video that we have right here. I have it for my members. I don't want to put the entire thing live for everybody because I don't know. I don't want retaliation first off, but hey, once we figure out and talk about this remote viewing, there's just no bounds is all I'm saying. Okay. But anyway, so going down in this post on Visions of a Glorious Thread, the Krogh Meldrum, which is Rod Meldrum, Harrison, which is our boy Tom Harrison here, Visions of Glory author, Jody Hildebrandt, Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow, uh, Julie Rowe, Janet Russin, Ballard Connection, not to mention their sister organizations, OUR, Eternal Core, Liberty 89, Visions of Glory, AVAL, Preparing a People, Firm Foundation, okay, CNF. Firm Foundation was in town in Rexburg the weekend that my nephew was murdered. I'm just saying. And also the weekend that Tylee was murdered, the Rexburg race was going on, which is OUR. It was actually, I don't know if people aren't putting this together because I don't see people like reeling from this like I am. I'm reeling from it. I'm just like, oh my God, no. Whenever Joseph Murray testified on the stand in Chad's trial, he said that he and Emma were sponsoring the OUR Rexburg Rescue Race or Rescue Run. Okay. And that was the same weekend that Tylee was murdered. And actually, whenever Emma perjured herself, in my opinion, okay, I pretty much debunked it here. We've already gone over that many times, and we're going to go over it again. But whenever Emma said that she went to her parents' house to Google southwest wind, because she was being an amateur meteorologist and she was, I guess, too poor or too behind times to have a smartphone. And so she said that she was preparing for an event that weekend. That event, my friends, was the Rexburg Rescue Run. And not only that, but whenever, so let's go back to Emma. Emma did that she said that she did that, she testified to looking all that up on Google on the 8th of September. Only the Rexburg Rescue Run, the race, was on September 7th. So she lied. Or, she went the day after her event to Google southwest wind, in my opinion. Okay, so that's just debunked. Then, going back to Joseph Murray's testimony, he testified that he was, sponsored the Rexburg Rescue Run for that weekend. But in his testimony, he revealed also it just is very minimal. It kind of just, it doesn't really stand out. Nobody really harped on it. And I find that interesting because he said that at Spring Creek the Spring Creek Book Company, Chad and Tammy's organization, their book company, is who sponsored it, which is like for me, okay? And I'm looking for the OUR's 990s, okay? Their tax information for 2019. I'm not very, it's not my specialty, if you know what I mean. So I'm not like a professional expert. And so I read line by line. It takes me freaking hours, okay? And so if anybody has, it can move around those things a lot better, please. Well, I'll share the links, but they're free online. If anybody can track that down and see if and when Spring Creek Book Company donated money to OUR. I don't know. I think that's important, and it's follow the money, follow the money, follow the money. But anyways, okay, so I know I went way around, but it's worth it. It's worth it because I think it's super sus to have kind of the like-minded people in these two different organizations, but very much the same people, because Tim would go and speak at firm events, firm expos. Rod Meldrum, Ken Krogh met Tom Harrison. Okay, Ken Krogh right here met Tom Harrison through, of all people, the Rod Meldrum. I was thinking of his ferret farm. Anyways, yeah, there's that too. But it's just, again, birds of a feather flock together, and they suck. So that's what I have to say about them. Anyway, so going down to this excerpt right here that Chino Blanco and Devil's Ravioli added to this thread. Liberty 89 was registered in August of 2016 from the recent publishing of the 75 pages of investigative documents on OUR. We learn of a meeting held at Thanksgiving Point between Sheriston Stockwell, she was an op for OUR, Tim Ballard, OUR, Ken Krogh, Tom Harrison, and Hugh Vail. Hugh Vail is over Liberty 89, as described by Sheriston. Okay, so I'm gonna read this little excerpt. She kind of talks funny, or not my style. So it's, yeah. Liberty 89, Elder Ballard. Let's see. Sheriston said Tim took her to a meeting in her official OUR work capacity to meet with people at Thanksgiving Point. The people at the meeting included Tom Harrison, Ken Krogh, Hugh Vail, Tim Ballard. Sheriston said that they claimed to have visions and special intelligence of the second coming, which we all know is their version of the New World Order. Okay, just straight up. It's not. Anyways, they're the conspiracy theorists, not me. Anyways, Sheriston said that because she had shared some spiritual things and Tim found out about it, he, meaning Tim, could share with her the more, quote, secret things that Tim is involved in, unquote. Sheriston said during this meeting, they spoke about Liberty 89, America being a fallen nation, and how it was Tim's calling to do these things with OUR and restoring America to the covenant. Remember, Tim wrote a book about it. It was called The American Covenant, and it was to Mormon, so Elder Ballard and Russell Ballard, the apostle, helped him take all of the Mormon LDS language out of it, basically, and made it more to target evangelical Christian audiences, okay? A wider audience. So not just for Mormons, we're going to go way out, kind of like they're doing, in my opinion, the church, meaning how they are taking all the Moronites down from Google Maps and or replacing them with crosses, which we all know that, that's a no-no in LDS, they don't do the crosses at all. Anyways, so it just, to me, it corroborates the whole, how the church seems to be transitioning into a more Christian belief system, and then we found out through Ryan Fisher, who was an associate of Tim Ballard. He has the Nephite Explorer. He actually is doing a podcast exposing Tim Ballard with Kara Burrell, or some of you know her as Nuance Ho. They're doing great work. I still haven't seen the one from today, and I need to, as soon as I get off here, I'm going to go watch it. So anyways, just keep these things in mind, please. Okay, so let's see. So it was Tim's calling to do these things with OUR and restoring America to the covenant. Okay. Sherston said restoring America to the covenant was, quote, a big mission of Tim's, unquote. And he was, quote, called of God to do this. Sherston said Tim was very verbal about Elder Russell Ballard's involvement and behind it. But Sherston said she didn't know if she believed that. Further down, it says Sherston says, Tim would say that Russell Ballard is a part of Liberty 89. Tim would tell us that, but Hughville, was there, and Hugh was an employee. So it would be more employees than just me. So I guess, what they're saying in this, from this transcript right here, she was just, they included this to kind of just show us some excerpts from this conversation that obviously the prosecuting attorney, Davis County prosecuting attorney Troy Rawlings has. So let me get back over here. And so, I mean, to me, that's very poignant. Again, I've said this and I'll say it until it catches on. I don't know. I never saw, and I mean, I've looked for places where Chad Daybell was proclaiming to be a prophet, and I just never have found it. I mean, if you look at his individual writing, and I mean, again, go to WordWise. It's a channel that's amazing. Thank God for WordWise, because she's not LDS, but she is a professional fiction writer, and she has broken down every one of Chad Daybell's books. And she is able to tell us about his personality, how he felt towards kids, just there's no substance there. I mean, and I'm just like, wow. I mean, go to WordWise, subscribe to her. She's well worth it. And I noticed one day that she was wearing a pendant, and it's the same pendant like I had bought of Tylee's that Tylee was wearing, that was found in Chad Daybell's yard, not far from the fire pit. I mean, she's truly amazing. Lauren talked about her not too long ago too, and I noticed that WordWise's views are going up, so that's amazing. I'm so glad. And if y'all tell everybody too, let's get everybody informed, because she's good. She's good. But well, I don't know where I was going with that. But let's see. Tom Harrison is a cognitive therapist with a 40-year career that has included teaching in multiple faculties at the University of Utah. He has taught, and he might still teach at University of Utah, and private counseling. He is not currently licensed CSW in the state of Utah. But right here it says Thomas Alexander Utah license status, and I don't know who Thomas Alexander is, so I don't know. Tom is a member in good standing and has significant ties within the church. He was neighbors of Neil Maxwell, who was an apostle as well, and is the apostle that's spoken of in here in his book. Okay. Oh, and he was a neighbor of Spencer Kimball. I just glean right over that, because anyways, over the last decade, it has been rumored that Tom is the Spencer whose visions are recorded in the best-selling book, Visions of Glory. Oh, hell, don't buy it. We've got links. By John Pontius. The book is filled with visions of the impending apocalypse and the LDS faithful role in it. Oh my God, I said that all backwards. The book is filled with visions of the impending apocalypse and the LDS faithful's role in it. Lori Vallow Daybell was reading that book poolside in Hawaii when she was served papers. Recently, Crush Easton, I was like, oh shit, what'd I do? When I saw that the first time, I was like, uh-oh. I'll never see my name anywhere. A relative of Kay and Larry Woodcock published a series of videos on her YouTube channel, reading the transcript and playing the audio of a closed door 2012 Unblog My Soul, it's a website, reunion. Okay, interview between John Pontius and Tom Harrison. I have not been able to verify the origin of this video and transcript since they are not on the official publication of the reunion, but Crush's recording obviously came from somewhere, and the context appears right. Unblog My Soul was a blog run by John Pontius. It is abundantly clear in this recording and transcript that Tom is Spencer. Tom's multiple near-death experiences, or are they? And supposed relationship with Neil Maxwell, the oft-mentioned unnamed apostle in Visions of Glory, only legitimize his identity, Spencer. Also, most entrenched forums I encounter have made the same claim. It seems to be the consensus among adherents, and Tom is not denying it. The recent publication of the 75 pages of investigative documents only bolster this claim. I wonder if it's poster or bolster. Despite not being a licensed CSW, Tom continues to work / consult in quasi-official capacities. I never did look at that. Tom was the co-founder of Eternal Core. Okay. I can't access an official website due to an incessant malware warnings associated with their official website. I assume the web page has been abandoned, yet I can garner plenty of information from their official YouTube channel and other online resources. Tom founded Eternal Core with the help of Ken Krogh. Ken suffered greatly from his car accident and sought relief from the pain and the addictions he was fighting. Ken was introduced to Tom by none other than Rod Meldrum. Tom was able to provide relief to Ken. You can tell there's a serious, almost spiritual relationship between the two of them. The origin of Tom and Rod's relationship is a mystery to me, but they have both been involved with Mike and Nancy James of preparing a people. Note that after the fallout of Julie Rowe, Chad Daybell, and Lori Vallow, preparing a people slowly dissolved, and Mike and Nancy focused on latter-day media and their projects with Rod Meldrum and Avraham Gigliotti. He was one of the September 6th that got, I said, they have excommunication, so I just say he was recommunicated. I don't know. Anyways, I made it up. Together, Ken and Tom created Eternal Core. Ugh. So this is where Jody Hildebrandt enters, Eternal Core is a community for practitioners and those struggling with mental and emotional health who are seeking treatment outside the bounds of modern pharmacology while maintaining the spiritual core of individual identity. The enmeshment of religion and counseling is apparent in their presentations. Here's a banner of their conference Facebook page. Crap, let me do this. Okay. There's Tom right here in the middle. His right-hand man, Tim, who is that's what I was going to tell you earlier. If anybody is the prophet in this or trying to be a cult leader, it's Tim. Okay. In my opinion. And you have behind him, bolstering him up, Janet Russin, you have Tom Harrison and Ken Krogh and M. Russell Ballard, it's very interesting to me and wrong on so many levels. Anyways, so from left to right, top to bottom, row 1 is Jessica Mass right here. She's with OUR. Dan Gray, Lifeline, something. I don't know. Somebody has it. Carrie Mercer right here. Alima Harrington here. Alina Fong. Tony D'Angelo. Alicia Worthington. Row 2, we have Jeanette Bennett, Tim Ballard, Tom Harrison, This is Clay Olson, Fight the New Drug. Jody Hildebrandt, right here. Then you have row 3. Really? His name is Ann? Ann Tanner? Or no, that's Tyler Schwab. They have it backwards. Okay. Tyler Schwab, Ann Tanner, unidentified, Jessica Urcher, this is backwards too, Jacob Hess, Nate Bagley. Anyways. All right. As you can see, there are several familiar faces on this banner. Since Eternal Core's focus is on counseling and addiction, mainly sex and porn, right? Many of the individuals presented specialized in these fields. Of note, Jody Hildebrandt, the recently arrested, well, now we can say convicted, was a keynote speaker at the Eternal Core 2019 conference. Note, as the presence of Clay Olson of Fight the New Drug, his organization has been criticized by professional therapists for quite some time. OUR. Significantly, I want to emphasize the apparent overlap of OUR and Eternal Core. As you can see, Tim Ballard has an existing relationship with Tom, who's with Liberty 89. Shit, I forget that. And Eternal Core. Y'all. Anyways, it's good to revisit things, right? And has participated in an Eternal Core event in 2019, right? In addition to Tim, Jessica Mass and Tyler Schwab have ties to Eternal Core. Jessica Mass is the chief of quote-unquote aftercare, which is non-existent, okay? Oh my God. And oh my God, that freaks me out. It really does. It pisses me off. Because, anyways. Jessica Mass is the chief of aftercare at OUR, and Tyler Schwab is the OUR director of aftercare. I mean, just two positions that shouldn't even exist because there is no aftercare because there are no rescued children. Okay. Plus, oh my God, I got to show y'all. This real quick too. Latin America has previously served as the senior aftercare country manager specialist. It's just a lot of words and titles. Sherston, in her interview with investigators, made mention of Jessica Mass. So we'll come right back to that. Yeah, we'll come right back to that because I want to show you guys this, which was sent to me by Chris. And so I just want to thank him for this. This is Tony Robbins. This is a call to action on human trafficking. It all goes hand in hand. Remote viewing and this.
Any reason you roll through that stop?
I'm sorry. That's your son?
Yes.
Got any ID for the boy?
Yeah.
Watch the stops.
2018 red Mustang belonging to Rodrigo Ramirez.
Rise and shine, homie. Rise and shine.
First shift 6:30, second shift 12:30. Last shift till 11, and boom, lights out at midnight.
Wow, a new powerful movie inspired by true events of a young Mexican boy trafficked across the border. He thinks freedom is on the other side in America, but instead, he's sold to a sweatshop. The film shedding light on the global crisis of child trafficking. It's happening right now. It's affecting more than 12 million kids. Joining us right now with more on this grueling tale and why you got to see it when it comes out in theaters Friday. Author and executive producer of the film. It's called City of Dreams. Tony Robbins. We know him well.
Okay, he's an executive producer. Okay, that's weird. I need this to be normal. Okay, there we go. Now, just some observations of this guy here to the right. Okay, he's the producer, and just take note of his body language. I guess.
Good friend of the show. And
I'll rewind it a
more
little
of this
bit.
grueling tale and why you got to see it when it comes out in theaters Friday. Author and executive producer of the film. It's called City of Dreams. Tony Robbins. We know him well. Good friend of the show. And director Mo Ramchandani join us now. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us. Congratulations on the production. Mo, what prompted this for you?
You know, I'm originally from India. I'm an immigrant, and my family were kicked out of their home in 1947 when the British left, and my dad worked in a sweatshop-like conditions. So it was always at the back of my mind. But when I read about a case in El Monte, California, where there were 72 immigrants trapped in a residential location, and they were a sewing factory and they hadn't seen sunlight in 7 years. I couldn't believe that this was happening in America. And that's really what motivated me to tell this story.
And Tony, you have so many people coming up to you with causes on a regular basis. Why did you sign on and executive produce this?
Well, because my wife and I have been involved in stopping trafficking for the last 8 years. Someone originally introduced me to a group that was saving people, and I went undercover with these guys, former SEAL Team 6 guys, CIA.
Hold on. Right there. Did y'all notice right there? He said he was introduced to, I forget even how he said it, because that's how short my memory recollection is. But he doesn't mention Tim by name. And plus I need a button anyways. I don't want them to strike me or anything. So just commentary. Okay.
Stopping trafficking for the last 8 years. Someone originally introduced me to a group that was saving people, and I went undercover with these guys, former SEAL Team 6 guys, CIA. They had scars on my face so I wouldn't be recognized. And we did 4 days in Haiti and saved 37 children. It was one of the most disgusting things, Brian, I've ever seen in my life, to see these children chained to a bed, doing 7-8 tricks a day, and then turning around and having these people being sold. It just was crazy. But the beautiful thing was seeing the freedom. So we've worked together with a whole series of organizations to free over 50,000 children in the last 7 years, my wife and I. But this film is so amazing because, people hear about trafficking, but they think of it, it's over there. This is happening in the United States. And what I love about this is slave labor. This is getting a chance on Labor Day weekend to wake people up to what's actually occurring. Because 10 million people come across the border. It's too big. People can't even imagine. When you follow one child's real life and you see what's going on with them, you can't help but feel it. And this is designed, it's a thriller. It'll keep you on the edge of your seat. An amazing film. It's got 100% Rotten Tomatoes amongst the critics, which is unheard of. But also, it's a call to action in the end and shows you how you can really help to save children. So we're really excited about putting light on what's really going on here and waking people up to the reality.
Right. So here's another clip of the movie. Watch.
I know there's more of them in there.
Well, fake passport isn't going to cut it.
Yes, sir.
These people have no criminal history whatsoever.
Kind of busy shin.
The busy kind.
We've got evidence that they're harboring illegals.
Plus for warrant, denied.
Copy that.
I'd quit poking around. Catch my drift?
So I'm watching this, and you know what came out last week? A report that we are missing tens of thousands of unaccompanied minors. Once they cross the border, we have just lost track. Mo, don't you think that fits into this scenario?
You know what? Here's my suggestion on how to save the children. If you have like Tony Robbins, Tim Ballard, OUR, just all these organizations that say they're anti-trafficking. Marisol Nichols, the one, that tried to sell the couple's ruse, so they won't smell our pheromones. Shit is bullshit. Okay. If you keep all these people home, okay, maybe put them on house arrest, our children will be safe. Okay. Till then, we got purge. I'm calling it purge season because September is a hot month. Okay. I don't know what God they're, I can only imagine what God they're doing this under or for. But hide your wife, hide your children, hide your husband. Okay. Not playing. Wish I was.
No, 100%. And I will tell you what I learned, because before the mainstream media started reporting it, there was a New York Times expose last year. A buddy of mine who runs the West Coast division of the Labor Department 2 years ago said to me, Mo, a kid comes across the border and we process him, and then we ask him, we give him a meal, we ask him, where are you going? And he says, I'm going to see Uncle Juan in Arizona. So we then pay to have this kid taken to Uncle Juan. And then we find out 5 or 6 months later that Uncle Juan, we've sent 900 kids to Uncle Juan. He's not an uncle, he's a trafficker. And I had no idea. It wasn't out in the mainstream media at the time. It was all happening while I was making the film. So yes, that is a very, very serious issue that I think we need to resolve. But we also need to look at the kids. There's, the statistics I'm hearing, there's over 500,000 children right now that have gone missing, and many of them have been sold into labor and sex trafficking. And we have to do something for them right now.
Yeah, stay home.
They're stuck right now.
Right.
Stay home.
Tony, what's the goal with this? It isn't, you want viewers, you want people to watch always, but you want something to come out of this, right?
Absolutely. We want to see new legislation. We want to see people be able to bring their voice to it. And there's organizations, believe it or not, when I started doing this 8 years ago, it would be $3,000 to $5,000 to save a child. There's some organizations out there that are literally wiping out whole cities of this. In Indonesia, for example, there's one city with a group we work with, Marici Foundation. They've eliminated 92% of trafficking because they're using big data, AI, and tracking who these people are. Nothing's been like
And
this
remote
before.
viewing.
And you can save a life where they find these children and then they reintegrate them into society for $500. So people can actively participate as a volunteer. They can send money to organizations. They can write their congressman. We want to just wake people up. The first step, to stopping slavery was, Uncle Tom's Cabin, people really discovering what's really going
Oh, I
on
just
up there,
realized what he
becoming
said.
enraged about it, activate about it. I think this film will really create that, because if
He just used another one of their call phrases, their dog whistles, and it's Uncle Tom's Cabin. You know who else used it was Burgess Owens. Okay, and he also used the all too familiar raccoon, but shortened it to coon. Either way, how they're using it, just like Chad Daybell used it with Tylee, raccoon a reference. Okay, that's just a dog whistle, and so every time it was repeated in the news, it's just telling all their other people that are on the dark side with them. It's just another dog whistle. I've also heard Janet Russin refer to Adam Herbets as a coon. It's a slur word it's a racial slur, actually, for a Black person. And, with the white supremacy that tends to be coursing through their veins. Okay, look, at the two of his veins are popping out right there, and they're racist as hell, in my opinion. Okay, allegedly. So when you start to hear all these code phrases, these dog whistles, like Glenn Beck saying the Constitution's hanging by a thread, or in Glenn Beck's email to Tim Ballard after the controversial, oh my God, the accusations of sexual abuse on these women, that went on these Operation Underground Railroad ops, but turns out they were just exploited. And anyways, it's horrible. Anyway, so you've got Glenn Beck telling Tim Ballard, keep your powder dry. Then I hear Rod Meldrum when he's talking about and clearing the air he appeared on Mormon book reviews, which I love, Mormon book reviews. But I didn't like the guest. Okay. But I heard Rod Meldrum say, keep your powder dry. Eric Mutzos, also another one of these people. And there's some people in this whole outfit, in my opinion. This is just me. You take it or leave it. Okay. But it appears to be just like in the Hamblin case. Okay. There's the conspirators, there's the people, there's different roles that these people play. Okay. The Peter Familius, the peacemakers, the Punisher, they have these roles, and they are amongst, faithful Latter-day Saints, pretending to be Latter-day Saints, but their official name is, and this is their preferred name, this is what they call themselves, is the LDS Church of Satan. Okay. So we call them the CS members, or the group, and they refer to themselves as the group. And if you recall, in the FOIA docs, there were the 7 gatherers, right? Oh, Lord Jesus. Okay. But turns out that the 7 gatherers are Nicole Earl, Lori Vallow, Melanie Pulaski, Melanie Gibb, Zalima Pastenes, Christina Atwood, Serena Sharp. There's 7 right there. Okay. But they also refer to themselves as the group. And I mean, you can't make this shit up. Okay. And so, I mean, anyways, you have Gordon Bowen, who is, M. Russell Ballard's he's actually been known, and referred to as M. Russell Ballard's prodigal son. Okay. He was excommunicated from the church twice. Okay. He is a raging homosexual guy who, just like Jody Hildebrandt, it seems, is like in denial. There's actually one of Gordon Bowen's co-workers, I think she was, or secretary or something, she worked for him, and she made the comment that she suspects that she don't know how many boys are buried underneath his home. Okay, right there on the avenues in Utah. He's very wealthy. No news outlet will mention his name. Okay, they just mentioned David Hamblin and Rosie Hamblin, who were finally arrested. There's more than just their 3 daughters that are alleging these charges. Okay, and I mean, there's actually 144 people named in the Hamblin victim statements. Okay, and I mean, I have that entire case. I have all the Dropbox files. I follow a guy named GoL, and I pay, as a member to help support his work on Substack. I need to actually reach out. I've actually talked to him before, and his main thing about Chad Daybell was the fact that Chad Daybell was a gravedigger. And he was like, cemeteries. And I was like, yeah, and he was like, the stuff that goes on in cemeteries? And I was like, oh, yeah. I mean, that was a big thing, but I haven't talked to him in a while, probably a year now. And I really should have him on because he wants to talk about it to anybody that'll listen. He was paid to, go into the Hamblin case and to investigate it through familial ties, through the genealogy. And then from there, you start corroborating, what the girls were saying in their statements. If they lived by this person, like it says in their statements, they're corroborating things this way. And I mean, still, 30 years later, they're still trying to hold these perps and their abusers accountable. And it's amazing, just like with David Levitt. And oh my God, it's been so long. There's so much stuff that I've found out just over this past week. I'm just like, okay, well, how do I do this? How do I do this? And I watched a great documentary on this channel. I mean, he's a creator that I used to watch the Paranormal Files. He did a big old deep dive into Oak Island and all that jazz. Holy crap. Okay. Oak Island. And then he started a new channel called The Conspiracy Files. And he's been doing some amazing deep dives into that with all these pedo rings and all these missing children and people like this right here in front of me. And I mean, it all, I've even tied this aspect of it, this part of this case or whatever, people involved in the case, where Tylee and JJ sit right dead center of it, okay? But all these people around them are super sus, okay? And they have just not so great histories, okay? And I mean, just they never are held accountable. And so I ended up tracing this back to this goes to, through Senator Mike Lee. Senator Mike Lee used to speak. I have pictures, screenshots of him at a firm expo where Chad Daybell and Tim Ballard both spoke at. Senator Mike Lee, he is highly associated with John Huntsman Jr. John Huntsman Jr.'s name was found in Jeffrey Epstein's Little Black Book. I mean, to me, that's just like the top of the top. Okay. I'm just like, oh shit. Okay. That's all I needed to know. But anyways, I'm gonna finish playing this right here and I'm gonna grab some other stuff too. I don't know why I just left it. Y'all know, y'all saw it. Okay.
It'll grab you. It's an amazing film, but it'll also really call you to action.
It's City of Dreams, and it's out, and it's Labor Day when it debuts, and it's really important and it's significant. Mo, I know you know how inspirational Tony is on a regular basis trying to help people. I see people blaming politicians for where their lives are right now, even though in America, in most situations, we're better off than 99% of the world. I remember a president that said this.
So, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Once we're out of this political maze in November, do you think we got to, as Americans, start taking responsibility for our own lives and stop blaming the presidents?
Well, it's the only way people are happy. People's unhappiness is tied to feeling like events control them versus they control the events of their life. And as long as you're going to blame the system, and don't get me wrong, the system can be totally messed up, but we can overcome whatever the system is. We make these choices. That's what a democracy is. And I think for people to be able to have happiness and joy, we have to find something that we care about more than ourselves. Life is calling to us to give something, not to get something. But our culture has gone through a big swing where it's like, what's in it for me? And I think it exhausts. We exhaust these emotions. People are seeing how unhappy, unfulfilled, angry they are. I think we're going to find that balance. Whether it happens in the next 6 months or a year, I can't tell you that. Right. But at some point, we have to balance out if we're going to have a society that's sustainable and where people are truly happy and fulfilled.
And Mo, real quick, this is your mission, right?
100%. My mission from the beginning was films have the ability to change hearts and minds. They did me. I was a little boy. I watched Rocky. It changed my life. And that's why I decided to do this. And
you know who else watched Rocky was Chad Daybell. Okay. And him influenced his life too. So that's not saying much there, but
hope that people will watch this movie and it'll make them angry and they will want to fight for these children.
All right, Tony and Mo, thanks so much, guys. Thanks for telling your story.
By fight, they mean pay them to not rescue children. Okay. That's just my opinion. That's, do your research. Trust me. It's well worth it. Okay. So I just pulled this one up because this is where defending Utah. Okay. Let's just say, I go wherever I need to go, wherever I might run across something. And I'm like, oh crap, because I learned by looking on Sandra and Gerald Tanner's website, okay, that when a Mormon hears secret combinations, they know that means these sacrifices, this devil worshiping, this Satan shit, satanic ritual abuse is what that means. And I'm like, what? I mean, I didn't know it was just so nonchalant, but I mean, so you have Melanie Gibb in her East Idaho News extravaganza there saying, oh, it's just secret combinations. Well, yeah, okay. It's like another one of those dog whistles, in my opinion, for an outsider, to an outsider, I should say. But this is where you'll see where I connected these dots.
Former Governor John Huntsman Jr. and Garrett Gong. And Garrett, so we've got an article on the new at defendingutah.org about John Huntsman and the New World Order. So if you want to read more about that, more documentation about what I'm going to cover right now about John Huntsman, you go to that and you'll learn about that. But I want to give some background about him. So in 1993, he joined the Council on Foreign Relations. And then he leads Envision Utah, which is the leading Agenda 21 organization in Utah. 2007, he supports cap and trade, which is freedom destroying, and it's the Green New Deal type stuff. Then you have 2007, the same year, he backs the forced healthcare mandates, leading us towards Obamacare. He backed the $1 trillion bank bailouts in 2008, supports forcing states to recognize sodomite marriage. 2012, he attended the Bilderberg Conference, joins the Atlantic Council, which is a branch of the Council on Foreign Relations, in 2015. And then he endorsed Mike Lee for U.S. Senate that same year. And in 2019, he also was revealed to be in Jeffrey Epstein's Little Black Book.
And I was like, well, bada bing, bada boom.
So here's a screenshot of the article we have. You can read more about that.
So, yeah, you can read more about that. You can go to defendingutah.org. They have some really good, I mean, all the way back. And it talks about Max Place, which we know that Attorney General Sean Reyes would actually sits in a leather chair that was given to him by by Kanye West. And just these weird things, but you have to like make an appointment to go see him there. And it's just where all the elites, rich people, these kind of, the politicking people go. I'm not into politics. I think they suck, and I think they use them to just cause divisiveness. And I don't think, and I mean, this is just me. And so people, again, I'm not into politics, so I'm just speaking this from somebody who's not into politics. I've never had to deal with this stuff, and I now know why, because it's just nasty. And it's to cause division, in my opinion. It's to give you the false sense of, or to give, I'll just say me, the false sense of democracy. Like I have a choice, like my vote counts, after I did vote one time. And when I rolled up there in my wheelchair, my leg was broken, shattered my ankle, and broke my fibula, went up there in a wheelchair, voted, and then come to find out, I'm like, they didn't even count Louisiana. Like, I don't understand. It's just too much. Okay. I don't get it. And that's okay. It's not for me to get. There's other people who they get it. So anyways, it's just one of those things. So, okay. Let's see. Let's talk for a little bit. I need to recalibrate. No, never want to be in politics when we see this. Yeah, right. It's like choosing the lesser evil, the lesser of two evils, in my opinion. Hey, Megan, how are you, girl? Good to see you. The small local races matter the most. Interesting. See, I don't really know. And I just feel like, I don't know. It's just confusing to me. And from what I can see, it's like, and I mean, again, it's like, I don't know. I just, through this case is the only reason I even noticed that this, that this exists and how this works and this works and this works and this works. And like these systems, they feed into other systems. And then, now that I can kind of see. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, I appreciate you. I do. Yeah, you're forgiven. Beach Bum says you're forgiven. You can go to the celestial. Okay. That's it. Oh, I'm just picking. No, and they don't want, TC says they don't want people to be involved or interested in politics, easier to control. Uh-oh. So they got what they want with me. I get it. It's just so much. It is. It's a lot. Again, like I said, like going in through this, these are just things I never had to like question on a big scale, like they didn't, there was just a no need. There was, just, I was just living life, popping bubbles, none of this stuff was that important to me. And it's through the murders, through the deaths of my family members in this case. And I will never credit Chad and Lori Daybell for this shit. Okay. But because of the crap they did to our family members, to their family members, is the only reason, it just kind of shook me and got me interested in learning what is this, and where does this go? Hey, Natalie, how are you? I hope you're doing well. You and Chuck and family. Exactly. Local is the most important. You need to be involved in what's going on down your street. Ugh. Right. I haven't even looked local. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm like, hopefully one day, I don't even know what's going on in my own damn neighborhood, which is the most important, you would think, especially living on Cox Road. Okay. I'm just going to say that again. I live on Cox Road, and I lived here before Lori started her shit. So here we are living on Cox Road and stuff. just reminders. Yeah. Hopeful 615, good to see you. Oh, I left the Mormon church here in Utah. My mental health improved. Good. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad to hear that. We all are. We're all glad to hear that. You know? Oh no. Well, it better be. You better be good. If their name is on my ballot, I research who they are before I vote. Right? That's good advice right there. But anyway, so basically this all goes into what's going on here. What is it that they're doing? What is so special about this freaking book? It reminds me of so many times when through this case, through researching everybody in and around Chad and Lori's circle, okay? And mainly outside, you know. I've pretty much sized up the inner circle, and it's the outer ones. I'm just like, what is going into this? What's making all this? Okay, there's something that allowed Lori to feel so emboldened, Chad Daybell too, to just be, you know, cheating on your spouses. I don't know how. I don't think it's normal. I hope it's not a normal thing for Latter-day Saints to answer those questions, you know, with their bishop, to get a temple recommend. You know, we've heard in Lori's testimonies where she's like, if it comes at you once, if it comes at you twice, if it comes at you, and she went to say 3 times, then she's justifying murder, you know, against the scriptures. And I mean, you're just like, whoa, you know, that's pretty wild, pretty loud. And she threatens her bishop, according to her. She's like, either give me a temple recommend or I'm going to commit murder. But like Jason mentioned a while back, he was like, well, what happens when you do both? What if you get a temple recommend and you commit murder? Because that's exactly what the hell she did. There was no ultimatum, you know? So what emboldened her? What is keeping her there too? You know, I mean, I can kind of understand what's keeping her there in that belief. You have to keep believing it, I would assume, because the minute you stop, then that means you have to, you know, face reality that you murdered your 2 children, your husband, possibly your ex-husband, and, you know, so many, and your your new husband's late wife. Just what? You know, it's nuts. It's nuts. It's nuts. Or like Janet Russin, you know, let me, I gotta find the tab. And that's what's confusing me. Well, one of the things that is confusing me, let's see. And so this is where, you know, and I'd shared this on here. I had caught it. And so I went back and listened to the rest of this video again from where I got it. I don't know if I put it on here or not. This is back in the day. But yeah, recently went and listened to it, and I mean, I picked up on isn't Tim going to Colombia here soon? To what's her name? Cartagena. Kelly Suarez is basically suing Tim. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but she's one of the people that is suing him for what he said or insinuated in the movie Sound of Freedom. And I don't want to repeat it because I obviously don't know. I don't know it enough to retell it, but just listen right here, because this is something that Mindy Caldwell and Lauren with Hidden True Crime and Megan Connor right here, shared whenever they went on Mormon Stories podcast. And so this was, it was just interesting to me when I found this. I was like, what?
Times that I served, times that others served me. And all of a sudden, as I just thought about those moments in my life,
I don't have it.
I was filled with something that I recognized. It was the same thing I recognized when I had gotten off on the freeway, off the off-ramp, to go visit this little boy. I felt optimism. I mean, I was in tears. I was just like floating. I feel like I wanted to go run a marathon from his house. I was like, what is this? I felt optimism. I felt courage, unity, these amazing things. I said, what is this? He says, Tim, it's a chemical reaction. It's a chemical. When you give, when you serve, your brain actually releases these amazing chemicals, oxytocin, dopamine, endorphins, serotonin. And it's what, and if you're a spiritual person like he is, he says, these are the chemicals God puts in your body that opens up the heavens. It helps you to get past the physical and into the spiritual.
Yeah, spiritual.
But whether you believe that or not, the reaction, the fruit of this is real. So I wanted to do my own research on it, and I found a brain specialist, one of the people that helps us heal the brain of the children who have been traumatized. His name's Tom Harrison.
No, okay, because there's no aftercare. So what the F is Tom Harrison doing, being all up in your organization, and you're relying on his research that you didn't look at, Tim. We know you didn't look at it, okay? Whatever, your people put this together for you, and you just repeating it. It's nasty.
Specialist, one of the people. I wanted to do my own research on it, and I found a brain specialist, one of the people that helps us.
Like John Dehlin said, he was like a neurologist, not a freaking therapist, okay?
Heal the brain of the children who have been traumatized. His name's Tom Harrison. And this is what he says, his research. The research is conclusive. Through ongoing acts of service, charity, thoughts of kindness, and gratitude, the brain releases a powerful cocktail of chemicals, which include oxytocin, endorphins, dopamine, and others. These chemicals, in turn, produce in the recipient positive benefits, which produce higher levels of achievement, increased creativity, positivity, optimism, and unity.
With that being said, I just thought about this, okay? Just hear me out. If Tom Harrison is talking about all these chemicals in the brain, you know how Tim Ballard, one of his ways of selling, his whole need for doing this couple's ruse is to trick the trafficker by them smelling the pheromones. I kid you not. Pheromones. Okay. So I wonder if Tom Harrison is also behind this whole pheromones and the couple. We know he's behind the couple's ruse as well. You are, Tom. You are. We know you. We know it too. We know you do. Anyways. So, I mean, that's just kind of interesting, with the whole chemical thing and the pheromone thing, and then endorphins, oxytocin, serotonin. And again, this also comes to mind as well, as far as, I'm not saying these people are, because I'm not qualified to say so. So I'm just saying this is just me, in my opinion. And I mean, what he is trying to convince this audience here is how a normal person works. And so I'm thinking psychopath, sociopath type, where they only have apathy and they have to learn empathy. So they mock those who have empathy, kind of, again, I'm not a professional. I don't even do this for a hobby on the side. So I'm just saying, these are just interesting kind of points, about that.
Why are these fruits so important? Because you can't teach these things.
No, you can't. That's
in your home, to your children, in your businesses, to your employees. Can you go to your employee and say, all right, be creative? I mean, you can say it. Be optimistic.
Have empathy.
Be a unifier. Be a team unity. You can say it all day long, but how do I do it? How do I be creative? How do I just do this? You do it by creating the environment in which service is prominent, is paramount. You encourage your people, your family, to serve others. This is why Tony Robbins is always saying the secret to living is giving. That's his life mantra. And that's why.
And Tony can have that because Tony has a lot of money. He even has a private island, which is freaky. Okay. And I mean, I went back today and was reading on American Crime Journal website about, and also Lynn Packer's channel, okay, about the fake graduation ceremony that was performed at the U of U, of all places, okay? And I mean, it's been hard for Lynn Packer and Damian Moore of American Crime Journal to get those FOIA docs, those FOIA requests from U of U. They're being really evasive. Everything's kind of redacted out, and it's just sus, you know? It's just like, what? So, I mean, allegedly, and this is just, you know, just a basic, short little whatever. I don't have words. But basically, Tim and his organization, Operation Underground Railroad, went to Venezuela and I want to say Haiti. I don't really quite remember, but Tony Robbins loaned his jet, you know, because everybody got those, you know. That's why Tony says that the mantra, life's mantra is that, you know, giving and serving, because they can afford to, first off, okay? But Tony Robbins loaned his personal jet out to Tim Ballard and organization to bring these women, these so-called trafficked women, to Utah, okay, where they put on a fake graduation. It's a big old to-do, okay, elaborate and just ballsy, in my opinion. Yeah, I think it's this right here. OUR's hookers from heaven. So let me copy. Oh, I can't. Okay. But I can't open in a new window. Tap. Anyways, so, and then from that graduation ceremony, they also went to, allegedly, to the White House, where it says that, you know, that the president signed off on their personal visas or something. It's just super, super duper sketch. OUR's hookers from heaven. Okay. And so you go to, I'll share this right here. Let me copy that. Okay. Utah-based Operation Underground Railroad, a nonprofit focused on rescuing child sex slaves worldwide, shifted gears almost 2.5 years ago. But this was December 12th, 2022. So, you know, 2020, 2019. Anyways, this is tiny. Shifted gears almost 2.5 years ago and executed a purported rescue of 10 adult Venezuelan sex slaves from a brothel in Haiti. On November 29th this year, 2022, OUR streamed an 1.5-hour long YouTube documentary on a raid that OUR President Tim Ballard claims was guided by God. The video was part of a, quote, Giving Tuesday, unquote, fundraiser. This report fact checks Ballard's contention that the sex workers had all been drugged, kidnapped, smuggled into Haiti, and forced into prostitution, then R-worded 5 to 10 times per day. Then, after being freed, were taken to the White House to meet President Donald Trump. The women, mostly mothers, who left their families behind in Venezuela, were supposedly held against their will in a jail cell and locked up each night with a padlock. Remember the padlock story? A shackle that became a big part of OUR's rescue story, a story that turns out to be pure propaganda. Okay, that's all this is pure propaganda. That's all. Sound of Freedom is pure propaganda, and just I'm putting that link in the chat right now. Okay, I'm so off topic, but I'm on topic. Does that make any sense? Because it's like all of these factor one into the other, into the other, into the other. Okay, this is Janet Russin. This is the so-called psychic. Okay, and this was, while I'll let this play for a little bit, I'm going to go pull up the Blaze News article about remote viewing. Okay. And I find this probably the most truest part of the story. Okay. And this was after, everything came out. Vice News had released that public, basically distancing of Tim Ballard and the lawsuits that were headed his way. Basically, distancing themselves. The church was distancing themselves. And, then unfortunately, M. Russell Ballard died November 12th, 2023. I cried because it's kind of like with Alex Cox dying. It's like, I'm not sad about their loss, ugh, but it's like this big, huge piece of the puzzle is now gone, So
tell me about my new position as CEO again at OUR.
I kind of think I'm under, because there's priesthood blessings that were released also in these lawsuits that these women, allege against him and Janet Russin. And I think Catherine Ballard was released from one of the women's, I don't know. I don't know the specifics. It's a lot to keep up with, but, against a lot of people. Okay. And, you have Ken Krogh, who, let's see, I shared with you earlier as this guy right here. Okay. Ken Krogh, who's now over the Spear Fund, who's in that video I showed you a little bit about. He gives a priesthood blessing. Him and Tom Harrison give priesthood blessings to Tim Ballard. Let's think about Chad and Lori and their priesthood blessing, or his priesthood blessing to Alex Cox. Let's think about the coded talk between Lori and Chad, where in the very beginning of the jailhouse recording, it's so cringe, right? Super duper duper cringe. And Pillars of Fire is what they started to talk about. And Pillars of Fire is on page 189 of Visions of Glory. I'll read an excerpt out of this. This was all still before the second coming. The Lord had ordained for us to begin the millennial day with Zion and her cities while war and chaos reigned everywhere else. We were surrounded by war in our own land. The foreign troops were advancing their agenda, and we ignored them. Oh, please. They had no power over us, though they tried repeatedly to enter Zion and exert authority over us. They were always disappointed in their goals. We did not have to call down fire on them or guard our gates with anti-tank weapons. We lived within the safety of the power of God. The same pillars of fire that had accompanied us across the wastelands of America to Zion now blazed above the temple and at the 12 gates into Zion. Pillars of fire, which is, what they were speaking, were often seen above homes or other places where the people were worshiping God, teaching by the power of God, or learning in humble obedience. As the living waters changed everything within the walls of Zion, the city began to glow with an internal glory. Buildings glowed, streets glowed, and sidewalks, lawns, and flowers glowed. The most beautiful sight of all was the mighty temple there. The light of the whole city seemed to be drawn toward the temple and then thrust upward above the temple, where it punctured the sky like a mighty, that's another word, pillar of fire, and extended beyond the vision of man into the heavens. To those who knew not why these, I hate when people talk like that. To those who knew not why these things were happening, or why militated against her, whatever. Zion was truly as terrible as a great, quote, army with banners, unquote, as foreseen by Isaiah. Yet she was also a peaceful, yet she was also as peaceful as a dove. Blah, right? That's just I don't know. I don't really see any similarities. Nothing stands out to me right now, but that doesn't mean that they don't exist. As to why, Lori was talking Pillars of Fire from Visions of Glory to Chad in that jailhouse call between the two of them. It means something. It means something to them for sure. And I don't think it's just, a lot of people just, chalk it off to, oh, they're just crazy. And I mean, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with you that Chad and Lori Damn Daybell are crazy. Cuckoo, like, I mean, just crazy. Okay. However, there tends to be this book is highly sought after, by faithful Latter-day Saints. And I want to know why. That's the whole part. Like, I just want to know why. And I mean, again, it's not, I could care less if these people, I don't think they'll ever be held accountable. I don't. That's me being realistic and a realist, I guess you could say. They haven't yet. I just want to expose them. I want to make good on the vow that I vowed to my Uncle Charles and Tylee and JJ, that I will not stop until those with their blood on, my family's blood on their hands are held accountable. And I don't know if that'll ever come true. So to be realistic, I just want to expose those who are of this ilk with my family's blood on their hands. Call me crazy, but that's what I'm doing. And I just want to make good on my word, So I know that it's crazy. Yes, we can chalk it off to that. We can chalk it off to just portaling. We can chalk it off to, they're just money, power, sex, but it's more than that. It's more than that. And if it wouldn't have happened again and again, if these things would not continue to be happening, I mean, go back, look at the Lafferty brothers, go back, just keep going back. The Arvilla Baron, go back. Just it just has been happening since the beginning of time, and all throughout, for sure, Mormon history. And I mean, again, if I were a faithful Latter-day Saint, I damn sure would not want these people to be wolves in sheep clothing, to be preying upon my children, my family, my sisters, my brothers, my nieces and nephews, aunts and uncles. I mean, I would, myself, I mean, that's not cool. I wouldn't want these people exploiting and blasphemy my scriptures, my church, my temple where I worship, making such a mess. It's not that your church needs you to defend it. It doesn't, who does need you to defend them are the young, the children, those who can't defend themselves, like Tylee and JJ. They were children. They depended on their mother. That's the least person that you would ever suspect of betraying you. And she did that not once, but twice in rapid succession. And she seems to be quite okay with that. And that is troublesome. Jody Hildebrandt, Ruby Frankie, same thing. They were accusing, Ruby Frankie was accusing her own children of being abusers. Chad Daybell, in his books, from his writing, if you go check out Wordwise and her analysis, her evaluation of Chad's writings, he hated kids. Okay. He didn't understand them. There's talk about a bishop, or I think a bishop, that knocked one of the kids in the head. He wrote about it, I mean, they're crazy. They are crazy. They're psychopaths, in my opinion. They're sociopaths. They're all these, they're not right. Okay. And it bothers me. It bothers me because I know that there's so many more, and not just in the Mormon church. No, they're in every denomination, every race, color, creed, sex. Okay. I mean, they're everywhere. And I'm not here fear mongering, I'm just as realistic, wherever there are children, you best bet. And I mean, this is something that Scott Reich has said, that wherever there are children is where the perps are going to be, and that's what they do. And it's amazing how all these people, purport, allege, tout about being around children and saving children, but they're doing anything but that. Anything but that, in my opinion. It's concerning. So, all right. I don't know where to go from here, but let me pull this up. Right. I'll pull this one so you can see. This is something that not them, my bad. I can't get away from them. Let's see. Where'd it go? I just opened it. I'll find it. There it is. Okay. Oh, I got to pay my bill. All right. So anyway, every month it does that. So I was wanting to, I don't know if I'm going to do it Thursday or not. I mean, today's just what is today? Monday? Yeah. I don't know. But there was this interview right here of this guy, Jesse Stay, that I remember hearing his name a long time ago, but I have not, I didn't know that there was this interview. Oh, can you even see it? Yeah, you can. And I found it on I don't know, I ran across it. Let's see. I've been working on, I kind of throw things into one sometimes because I have it open. This is something you've got to go check out. Midnight Productions, The Darkest Rabbit Hole on YouTube, exposing an active pedophile ring in Arizona and snuff films. This is crazy. I was telling, I forgot, I didn't mention this in the story I started to tell you about earlier about how I follow I just hit that on accident. The Paranormal Files, and how he just opened up a channel called The Conspiracy Files. Well, I watched it. I mean, it just came on. It was his weekly live, and I didn't know what the hell Midnight Productions was. Never heard of it. And now I wish I never had. But it made me think Jason Mao. And then I also was pulling together some of Sean Reyes's timeline, from Tim Ballard and Sean Reyes's relationship. Okay. And so while I was doing that, because y'all know how I work in like an orbit. Okay. So ADHD that I can't stand still very long. As you can tell, I've already carried you a full circle, just in this live stream in an hour and 20 minutes. I'm just saying there's so many facets and so many moving parts to this story that I don't know. This is just how I keep myself. This is just how my brain works. So as I was, so I happened to be looking at the timeline stuff for Sean Reyes, and I came across Operation Broken Hearts. And I was like, oh. And so whenever I was watching Midnight Productions, I'm going to go grab that link too. Let's see. Let me pull that up. Let's see. Let's see here. I'm just going to show just the very beginning, like the trailer of it, I guess.
Midnight Productions.
Back
A total of 37 people arrested, accused of child crimes, now locked up.
Yeah, this is just a horrific story.
If you don't know who Midnight Productions is, they do horrible things on the dark web. YouTube is filled with numerous stories. It is not a myth. They're not a fantasy. They're not a conspiracy. They are actually true.
Be aware, Midnight Productions is a band of people who go around picking up young women, young girls, taking them back to their hideout, filming it while they're raping them. They'll cut them up in pieces. They'll kill you. Midnight Productions are people that you need to stay away from. Cops, lawyers, judges.
Intense video released from Phoenix police
showing a possible kidnapping.
Police need the public's help identifying who is in this video.
The mugshots of more than 30 accused predators, allegations of child trafficking, luring of a minor for exploitation. Investigators went undercover, placing ads on websites and apps commonly used by suspects targeting children for.
This is horribly wrong. They are looking to manipulate and exploit children.
A home surveillance camera captured that chilling moment where the girl barely got away from the man running after her.
It's the most terrifying thing that as a grandfather, as a father, can never go through.
Midnight Productions is real shit. They don't know where a lot of people are at missing that house. There's baby cribs, the lights for films. They had rooms with like cages. You go in the house and then the wall would have you could step into some weird tunnel shit.
This is a prison cell. Only kids are being held down here.
The underground bunker, it was basically a giant plastic container with a hole only small enough for a child to crawl in and out of. A small child that was in there could not have gotten out on their own.
There's a child's vanity and a hospital toilet. That looks like a child's car seat.
Strollers and children's toys and clothing and food packets and stuff like that. So clearly children had.
I'm just going to pause so I don't get struck or anything. But oh my God, I remember reading about this underground bunker found, because ever since Lori and Chad started their shit, I subscribe to Arizona news, like Justin Lum, Maricopa County. I subscribe to Idaho news and Utah because of the church and everything. And so I get those, these kind of news stories and everything. There's another one at the end of this trailer that talks about, you'll see. But I remember seeing that too. I just didn't put them all together.
Had been kept here. But one thing that was really disturbing was there were arm restraints, wrist restraints on two trees angled like this to where that's a tree. That looks exactly like wrist restraints for a tree. It doesn't look like anything else.
There's the Midnight Productions out here, and it is right here. That shit is everywhere. It's a human trafficking. It's every day. People will, come and lure you in and then take you and you are a sex slave until they are done with that and then chop you up and sell your body parts.
These guys set me up to be tortured by Midnight Productions. It's a conspiracy among conspiracies. If it's true, man, God help us. But
Phoenix is on pace for a record-breaking number of homeless deaths. According to new data from the Maricopa County Medical Examiner's Office, more than 300 homeless people have already died this year.
It's a body donation and tissue bank in Phoenix, Arizona. It was raided back in 2014 in a human body parts trafficking investigation.
He found a cooler filled with male genitalia, a bucket of heads, arms, and legs, infected heads, and one of the most disturbing findings called a morbid joke in the lawsuit, a small woman's head sewn onto a large male torso like Frankenstein and hung up on the wall.
Anyways, you gotta go watch this. Okay. It's long. It is worth it. It's worth it. It's worth every freaking minute of it. I don't really, these are anti-traffickers, but I don't know. You just have to fill them out because I think a lot of these anti-trafficking type organizations, like with, Tim Ballard here, they talk the talk, but they don't really, walk the walk, when push comes to shove. I just put it right here, Megan. It's called The Conspiracy Files. I think it's worth a listen, for sure. He interviews a lot of people who are homeless in Maricopa County. Okay. And I think Jason Mao all the way when they talk about the corrupt police. And I'm just like, what is it about Jason Mao? Already all these years, like I got chills. All these years, a lot of us have just been like, but where does he fit in? Obviously right in the middle of freaking multiple murder case and spanning over a bunch of states, the Mormon. But what's his gig? And, You know what I mean? And just let me know what you think after you watch it, because I'm curious. This is Colin, and this is his brother-in-law here. This is the Paranormal Files. Midnight Productions, the most disturbing documentary I've ever produced. And so we are going to do a live stream on this, where he reads. And I mean, you can find it. I've gone and looked it up after this. I'm going to read it right here. We'll go on to the Reddit site about this, people talking about it, and listen to this. It premiered on August 19th and it's already gotten over 500,000 views. Okay. That's I've watched it 3 or 4 times already. We investigated a rumored sex trafficking and snuff film ring in Arizona named Midnight Productions that, according to locals, is responsible for hundreds of disappearances in Arizona and more that have taken place in the last few decades. When we began digging into the story, we had no idea how deep it went, and we didn't expect to find as many disturbing answers as we did. Viewer discretion is heavily advised. And just basically anybody who digs into this story and Midnight Productions, you'll see it in his, and where he shares. Well, look, I'll just play this right here.
Here's the Three Palms Hotel. That is going to come up in a little bit in this documentary. I've seen that come up a few times being mentioned. But yeah, I mean, you go down this rabbit hole, and I've spent days just reading all this stuff, and it's frankly really convincing. Now, something else that's interesting about Midnight Productions is how it's tied, supposedly, according to some people, to the unsolved disappearance / murder of a girl named Mikkel Biggs. She was a young girl who disappeared in the Phoenix area decades ago, and I had never seen a connection between Midnight Productions and this crime until I started researching it, and then I came across comments like this. I was born and raised in Arizona, small town between Phoenix and Tucson. I learned of Midnight Productions as an adult. I had moved to Mesa. I met a young girl that years before was held hostage for months by a man known as Peg Leg Bill. Throughout the years in Mesa, I met many girls / women that had been connected to Midnight Productions. Peg Leg Bill came up often. I don't know why, but some of them would open up. They trusted me. They told me that he was responsible for the kidnapping of a little girl in Mesa years earlier, Mikkel Biggs. And she goes on to give a lot of really specific information, talking about how, once again, Mikkel Biggs was, according to her and what people told her, murdered on camera. And it's really, really weird stuff. I mean, even...
Y'all, I feel like this happened to, like, I feel like, I hate to even say it, because it's just horrifying to even think about. But I feel like Kylie and JJ's, or maybe filmed. Okay. I mean, I don't know. Again. Yeah.
Right here on another unconnected Reddit post from 10 months ago. Here's another person talking about Mikkel Biggs being kidnapped by the Hells Angels, and then Midnight Productions torturing her, assaulting.
And this enters the Process Church of Final Judgment, which is they're over the Scientology, the church, Scientology, which are also connected to the Mormon church via Herbert C. Jench, who was a Mormon prophet very briefly, but then he also took the place of L. Ron Hubbard. And if you read Program to Kill, the book by David McGowan, oh my God, all these kind of start to connect and make sense. And you're like, oh, okay.
Her killing her on camera. So you'd think with all these people talking about this online, right, there would be more people talking about it, more videos, a documentary, more news articles, but there's nothing besides these forum posts and the thousands and thousands of them and the mentions of Midnight Productions and all these specifics. There's nothing. I even started looking, and this was eerie, I started looking into people who also might have looked into Midnight Productions in the past. I came across this Twitter page going after Midnight, staffed by investigators examining allegations of an underground organization in Arizona known as Midnight Productions. They have a
Yeah,
contact
check this
email,
out.
but their last tweet was in 2020. It seems like shortly after they started this project in February of 2020, whoever was running this page disappeared. They've never posted
They
again.
stopped commenting.
And I emailed them. I emailed them a couple of times. In fact, to film this documentary, I sent probably 100 to 150 emails somewhere in the middle there, and I got no responses from anybody.
There you
Everyone
go.
seemed to be too afraid to reach back out to me about speaking.
Just like whenever he went to investigate Oak Island, okay? I mean, nobody in and around the immediate surrounding area would. You have to fly there. You have to fly into it or boat there. You know, it's an island. And holy crap. I mean, finally he got somebody that was like, I forget how many miles away to boat him and his crew in.
On this subject. And I thought that was weird that this
Pretty
guy
chill.
just disappeared. Then there's another guy, William Josh Hellman. I found his page. Check this out. March 8th, 2021. He's talking about Midnight Productions here. I have a huge issue here in Phoenix, Arizona that needs to be exposed to the rest of the world. There's an organization here in the valley that is the most evil thing, involving the most evil people alive. They prey on people to torment, then torture them for film. That was March 8th, 2021. He has not posted anything on X since. Isn't that really strange to you? I actually came across a number of different Twitter profiles of people whose last tweet was about Midnight Productions. Like they would tweet something about how Midnight Productions is coming after them, and then they would go completely silent.
So if anybody wants to know, I don't feel I don't want to take my life. I'm pretty much healthy. Okay. Just know if something happens to me, it was not by my own doing. Okay.
So there's obviously something going on here in Phoenix, Arizona. I feel like I've heard this story so many times. In high places, children being murdered, all of this stuff being filmed. These are common motifs in these stories. And as I've dug into these, and there are projects that I'm involved with, documentaries that are going to be coming out that involve similar topics. The more you dig in, the more you realize this stuff is real and you want to fight to expose.
And I second that with Tylee and JJ. They're not conspiracies. It really happened. I believe there are more people involved in their murders. That's just me. That's my gut feeling. It chokes me up. That's my gut feeling. And, you know, these things are worth obviously covering up. And Tylee and JJ weren't the first, and they definitely aren't the last. Because, you know, I told you I was looking, what is Operation Broken Heart? 7, okay. As part of Operation Broken Heart, a multi-agency operation which aimed to find people who were seeking to exploit minors for sex acts. Then the DOJ here, 2,300 suspected online child sex offenders arrested. I mean, here's ICE. Remember how Melanie Pawlowski, in her interview with Gilbert Detective, and she mentioned, or was it ISIS she mentioned? I don't remember now. I'll have to find that out before I can tie that together. But, I mean, come to find out, Sean Reyes is all. But now there's one difference. And so if anybody knows about this, then let me know what the difference is. One is Operation Broken Heart, but the one I found with Sean Reyes is Operation Broken Hearts. Okay. So, but see, they include Broken Heart. I don't know if the extra S is a deal breaker. I don't know if it's the same thing or not. No, let me do this. Okay. Oh, Jesus. 2016. Let's see what this is. Oh, we get a video. Yay. Let's play that after the ad. 71 arrested in Utah in anti-human trafficking operation. Human trafficking in Utah is real, says State Attorney General Sean Reyes, even if prosecutors don't always charge a person with that crime. Wednesday, Reyes, along with top members of his staff, were joined by police chiefs and investigators from across the state to announce the results of 2 operations. In April and May, the Internet Crimes Against Children, ICAC, task force participated in Operation Broken Heart 3, an operation that involved 61 ICAC teams nationwide. More than 1,300 arrests were made nationwide, including 71 in Utah, said Leo Lucy, Chief of Investigations at the Attorney General's office. During that operation, at least 6 children between the ages of 5 and 12 were rescued, he said. Quote, these victims are in the state of Utah, from the state of Utah, unquote. He said, stressing these were not cases of pictures being sent to someone from outside the state. Well, I mean, that's what Tim Ballard did, right? He had to look at it all day. Those 71 arrests also included people in Utah manufacturing child pornography with children as young as 5 years old and adults soliciting other adults, okay, to engage in sexual activity with children under their care, Lucy said. KSL first reported in May a spike in arrests by ICAC agents in cases that were similar. In each case, investigators arrested a man they had contacted through Craigslist, according to several Salt Lake County jail reports. In each arrest, an ICAC agent posed as a young girl, usually 13, and a man replied that he was interested in meeting for the purpose of sex. The reports state the Attorney General's office would neither confirm nor deny in May that ICAC was involved in a special operation. On Wednesday, Lucy said that he could not comment about the specifics of cases still pending. He said, however, that just as troubling as the number of people involved in sexual exploitation of minors and human trafficking was the demand for such illegal activity. Quote, the demand is huge, and the internet plays a massive role in creating the demand, advertising the product, whatever criminal enterprise you're involved in, he said. Specific cases. I didn't know it was going to be this damn long. Oh my gosh. Okay. In addition to the 71 arrests, members of the Secure Strike Force have been investigating. I just feel, do I have this up? No. Oh man. Oh, I do. Okay. It showed me the other thing. My bad. Okay. In the past few months, 11 human trafficking cases. 9 of those involved sex trafficking and 2 labor trafficking, Lucy said. At least 10 victims were identified in those cases, including 2 minors, he said. One of those cases involved Todd Jeremy Rettenberger, 37, who was charged in April of making women work as prostitutes at the Plaza, Royal Garden, Little America, and Ramada hotels in Salt Lake City and the Crossland Hotel in Springfield, Oregon, in January and February. He solicited clients by posting ads with pictures of them on a website called Backpage.com. Remember that? Yeah. The charges state. One of the women met Rettenberger while both of them were working at an Arctic Circle restaurant in Bountiful, and he recruited her into his service, according to the charges. One woman told prosecutors she started working for him because she was a heroin addict and he gave her drugs, the charges state. Reyes and Lucy said Wednesday that the notion that human trafficking only involves people who were abducted off the streets, sent to another state or country, and forced into prostitution is wrong. As long as prosecutors can prove the women were either forced, threatened, or coerced into prostitution, then it constitutes human trafficking. Both victims said Rettenberger threatened to harm them and their families and force them into violent sex acts if they stopped working. He was charged with 2 counts of human trafficking for forced sexual exploitation, a second-degree felony, 2 counts of aggravated exploitation of prostitution, a second-degree felony and pattern of unlawful activity, a second-degree felony obstruction of justice, a third-degree felony, and witness tampering. A third-degree felony. Rettenberg was also convicted 20 years ago of killing a Motel 6 clerk in Woods Cross when he was a teen. What the hell? Where's Timmy? I don't see him. Interesting. So I'm not gonna read all of it. I should have read that much. But let me put this link in the chat as well, and you can read it now or later, preferably later. But again, I know that doesn't, but I'll pull that together before we do a live stream on this. Okay, because I want to know if Operation Broken Heart and Operation Broken Hearts are the same. Because I just think it would be really interesting to see if Sean Reyes, Tim Ballard, like some damn cowboys that they are, travel down to other states, so to speak, and perform these ops, okay? Which that's a perfect word because it's optics, I do believe. So anyways, that's kind of what I've been working on in the background. One of the things, right? But this was the other, and it was this Jesse Stay. And whenever I shut my computer down earlier and restarted it, I found it. Okay. Oop. So I found this guy, Hellfire Agency. All right. And I've signed on to be a Patreon in order to watch the rest of the videos that he, had covered. And I mean, he's close to becoming a paralegal, passing his test and becoming a paralegal in the state of Utah. I mean, we can always use one of those. And he tends to know the case about Tim Ballard and Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell, Jody Hildebrandt. He knows all these aspects. He, mentions Mormon Stories podcast, basically the episodes that Lauren, Megan, and Mindy did, their expose of Tim Ballard and Visions of Glory, Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow, Ruby Frankie, Jody Hildebrandt, all the things, all the people. And anyway, so whenever I signed on to become a Patreon, I went to Underground. And so I'm not, because, it says video, it's behind a paywall. I signed up to the paywall. I mean, I've emailed them. I saw that Donna had mentioned in his comments, that we had the whole leaked video or podcast or whatever you want to call it of Tim Ballard a couple weeks ago, the beginning of the month, on Troy Abel's, it's called The Last Dispensation, where, I mean, they took it down and I have it all but the last 7 minutes of it. You can actually see where they privated it, but this, I'm going to take notes. I'm going to, hopefully I can, talk to him before then, but this is a freaking amazing interview that I think, it just puts so many things together for me.
Some people in the world,
and he's funny,
are here just to watch the world burn. Other people work for those people, spying on people and working to shill for those people. One of those people was this guy, Jesse Stay, who used to work for Operation Underground Railroad, and he worked for the Mormon Church for a while. He worked for this skeezy group called Fight the New Drug. I mean, this guy has a past. And he's here with us now. Hey, Jesse, how you doing?
Hey, Joe, I'm doing well. You can buy anything in this world with money.
I'm glad to see that you've reformed to be, I'm assuming, a son of perdition like the rest of us.
I'm working that direction. I'm working hard to try and get there as much as I can.
Anyways, it's a very, very, very insightful hour and 49 minutes here. Okay. Now, it's good. Okay. So I'm going to take some notes and we'll do a live stream on this to really pull a lot of what he said in this interview here and bring it out to the public, air it out and kind of go over it together, what I'll do is I'll leave you a link to his YouTube channel. Okay. And I appreciate everybody's hustle and understand it, because it helps. It helps. These things are, all this stuff is not free, So, I mean, it helps to have incentives for people to support your work. Okay. So I'm not going to exploit his work or his interview. I'm just going to take as many notes as I can. And we'll go over them, but if you can, I urge you to subscribe to his YouTube channel. He also has a website. It's called Hellfire. Crap, I already forgot. Hellfire.agency. Like, that's it, Hellfire Agency. And yeah. And I mean, he's an ex-Mormon too. So, I mean, he's just really cool. I like him. I like his personality. I like the spin he puts on it, just, he's very punny, and I appreciate punny guys and punny girls, especially from the ex-Mormon sphere and Mormon, just, I don't usually see many of those, but, again, I'm going to go ahead and cut it because it's like 2 hours. I know we didn't talk about, I mean, but then this is a good kind of precursor into remote viewing. Okay. It's because it's a lot. It is a lot. And there is no fast, easy way of explaining it ever. And I mean, again, I've avoided this because I'm like, remote viewing, like watching you without you knowing. And does that exist? And then whenever you kind of read the history on the letter agencies experimentations and their history with all that, it's not too good. So I'm just going to chalk that off in that category as it being, probably not good. And then I've been looking under newspapers.com and just this came out of a St. George, Utah, Monday, April 23rd, 1984, page 5. And it's just talking about, I mean, just the CIA. I'll read this to you and then we'll leave. Washington, U.S. intelligence, psychics aid CIA's work. U.S. intelligence agencies won't talk about it, but they are rushing to catch up with the Soviet Union in what one scientist jocularly calls, quote, the race for inner space, unquote, psychic research. Parapsychology is a field so full of pseudoscientists, flakes, and outright charlatans. Oh, yeah, we know a couple. Oh my God. I lost my spot. That it's easy to debunk the whole idea as a comic strip concept unworthy of serious scientific study. In 1981, when I first began reporting on secret US and Soviet programs using so-called psychics to gather intelligence, some of the government-funded projects were obviously off the wall. There was the hyperspatial nuclear howitzer that would transmit a bomb explosion from the Nevada desert to downtown Moscow, with the speed of thought, or the anti-missile time warp that would send an incoming enemy missile into the past, blowing up dinosaurs instead of 20th century Americans. Oh my lord. But there are legitimately laboratory projects that may eventually unlock the mysteries of the human mind. One of the, what did Chad and Lori do? They had yoga mats with them in Hawaii. Straight up. That's all they cared about was meditating and visions of damn glory. There you go. Just throwing that in there. Oh my gosh. One of the most promising is the testing of, quote, remote viewing, unquote, the claimed ability of some psychics to describe scenes thousands of miles away. The CIA and the Pentagon have an obvious interest in this phenomenon. If they could get psychics to throw their minds behind the Iron Curtain, there'd be no need to risk the lives of human agents. Now, that is interesting right there because, they're doing it. And so why are we still risking the lives of human agents? Okay. Just a question. The CIA sent representatives to a parapsychology conference in Virginia last December. Beside the usual spoon bending, which professional magicians, boy, there's plenty of those around here, around this case too. In fact, there was one magician, so-called magician, by the name of Richard Young, not Roger Young. Richard Young is from Canada, or he lives in Canada, and he was actually present at the same singles ward conference where Jason Mao went and spoke the weekend that J.J. Vallow was murdered. Okay. But it was in Billings, Montana. And, J.J. was murdered in Rexburg, Idaho, which is a good 5-hour drive. I already mapped it out and everything. I still think that Jason Mao and probably this Richard guy, I've already thought this a long time ago, that was a ruse. I feel like the way that, I looked at the flyers that are usually elaborate and full of detail, like overfilled with detail, preparing a people, those flyers, Firm Foundation, the flyers, they puke nothing but Mormon, just propaganda. Okay. That's what I'm calling it. And it just oozes out of it. Okay. But the one for this particular weekend that J.J. Vallow was murdered, that Jason Mao and this alleged magician, not Roger Young, but Richard Young, or Dick. You can call them two Dicks because Jason, his first name is Richard, and this guy's name is Richard. So there's two Dicks. Okay. It's legit. Anyways, but yeah, so they're usually so elaborate, but these were so plain Jane, and it was like, hey, we have lunch on this time, we depart on this time. They would just, I don't know, they were too simple, and they're not simple people. We know this. They're extra. So I think it's a ruse. I think that it's a cover story for Jason Mao, allegedly, and Richard Young. Anyways, who's a magician. But anyways, get back to this, which professional magicians have denounced as a fairly simple trick. There was a serious discussion of remote viewing. In fact, the CIA is now seriously pondering the possibility of raising psychic shields. Well, where we've heard that before, to keep Soviet remote viewers away from our secrets. I asked my skeptical associates Dan Van Atta, I don't know, and Joseph Spear to find out how remote viewing has become almost universally accepted in the intelligence community. They gained access to top secret briefings on the subject. This is what they learned. Here we go. The CIA's latest remote viewing project was codenamed, quote, Grill Flame, unquote, and was carried out in part by two respected academics, Harold Puthoff, I guess that's how you say it, formerly with the National Security Agency, and Russell Targ, formerly with the Stanford Research Institute, or SRI, in Menlo Park, California. I hope I'm saying their names right. Puthoff and Targ conducted at least two tests that produced astonishing results. They gave one psychic the latitude and longitude of a remote location and told him to project his mind there and describe the scene. He described an airfield complete with details, including a large gantry and crane at one end of the field. The CIA was impressed, but critical. There was indeed an airfield at the map coordinates the psychic had been given. The site was the Soviets' ultra-secret nuclear testing area at I don't know. Oh my God. Now that I read the other one, I can't say it. Kazakhstan, I don't know. But there was no gantry or crane there. Still, it had been a while since U.S. spy satellites had taken pictures of the semi-whatever base. So the CIA waited for the next set of photos, and sure enough, there were the gantry and crane, just as the psychic had described them. No one in the U.S. intelligence agencies had known the equipment was there, so the information couldn't have been leaked to him. The second test involved a Soviet Tu-95 backfire bomber, which the CIA knew had crashed somewhere in Africa. They were eager to find it before the Soviets did, so they could take photographs and perhaps purloin, that's a word, secret gear from the wreckage. So one of Project Grill Flame's remote viewers was asked to locate the downed bomber. He gave the CIA the location, several miles of the actual wreckage. Is that it? That's it. So, I mean, again, these things been going on and on and on and on forever. This is my thing I got to do. And definition and detailed description of remote viewing is a practice often associated with parapsychology. It involves the ability to describe or provide detailed information about a distant or unseen target through extrasensory perception, or ESP, or, quote, sensing with the mind, unquote. This phenomenon suggests that individuals can perceive objects, people, or events that are not within their immediate sensory range. Remote viewing typically involves a viewer and a monitor or guide. The viewer attempts to access information about a target, which can be location, object, or event, without any prior knowledge or sensory input about the target. Think about those texts between Lori and Zalema and Chad and Zalema, all of them, about hovering over Charles's vehicle while he drove with JJ in the vehicle, and they're doing this and they're shielding lights and throwing down thunder and whatever the hell. Just think about that in this context. Okay. This practice has been used in various fields, including military and intelligence operations, to gather information that is otherwise inaccessible. Her eyes look black. And that's what they're doing. And so here we are. Anyways, this is AI portal. And it all started here with this Jack-o'-lantern's book, Visions of Glory. That's where it's at. So that's where it's at. Anyways. Translation isn't what Chad seems to think. You can project your new spirit to a place, but your body will follow if you don't stop, like entangled electrons. And just like the whole spirit, the silver cord and pushing someone's spirit out of their body. I mean, just this all goes hand in hand. It just totally opens everything up for me with this case. When you're looking at it through this lens, holy crap. I think actually my fiance, about Donna Serafina, he was like, I bet you she was remote viewing. And I was like, probably so. It's interesting. I don't know. I believe in every type of research. Nothing is out of the realm for me. So I don't know. I look at different types of research. I think it's all important, whether it's debunked or not. Who's debunking it? First off, is the CIA, like the CIA, they say, oh no, we don't, that's been debunked. We don't do that. But then you got Sean Reyes over there, Utah Attorney General who believes in it. And you got Janet Russin and Tom Harrison, I'm sure remote views, you know, and it brings a whole new level of I guess awareness or realness of okay. And I mean, I'm just now into this area, but gang stalking, how, you know, it makes people look crazy. Okay. I'm just being point blank. It does. When people say gang stalk, they're like, oh shit, Linda done lost it, you know, or whatever. And I mean, but if you think about people in their mind's eye projecting and astral traveling to certain, I mean, to now, to points in our lives, I don't really know. I don't really know. It makes you wonder if they're going crazy, or is it true? Does it give validity to that? I don't know. Truth will tell. Time will tell. But it's interesting. I don't know what all these, what? Zero, you've been doing some homework. Email me, Kresha0123@gmail.com. Not 0123, but 0123. Kresha0123@gmail.com. It's the most plausible thing. Okay? It just is. I know I didn't get to read the text, and that's, you know, my mom came in, and then I don't know. I just kind of sometimes you know, like when I saw her, I just kind of go on a tangent about the things that I want her to hear, that she needs to hear, you know, hoping that she's hearing, but understanding if she doesn't, you know, it's hard. It's a lot to take in. But I mean, we're all looking for answers. Every one of us. None of us, this is all we have now, because those 2 trials, we have 1 to go, maybe 2, I don't know, but pretty much 1 in February of 2025. I just don't see where they're going to get into the belief part of it as much as they would have, like they did in Chad's. And, you know, anyways. So, I mean, I feel like, okay, 2 down. Great. You know, 1 to go. I don't know. I'm trying not to be so pessimistic, or, yeah. It's like the window for opportunity to answer some really big questions. That window is getting smaller and smaller, and that bums me out. Dude, how much gray hair do I have? Whoa. Anyway, I need to go sit in a salon chair or have a date with a box color, right? Anyways. Oh, okay. I'll check it out. It's interesting. I don't know. I want to know your thoughts though, because, you know, I mean, I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. You know, this is just nuts. But then I am amongst, you know, like-minded people. I understand that. And who aren't closed-minded, you know. I'm just saying, we're not dumb. Okay? And we're not the smartest people in the world. However, we're not dumb. So I don't know. You guys are intelligent. I will. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to look at these comments so I can write all this stuff down, because I mean, I need it. It helps. I appreciate it. I really do. So you guys have already been like knowing this, you know. It's just like addressing the big elephant in the room, you know, because it's so crazy, right? It's not mainstream yet. Yeah. See you guys tomorrow at, what was it, 10 or 10:30? I already have it scheduled. It's gonna take me 10 years to find it. I won't find it. You'll see it under my YouTube upcoming lives. So I'll see you guys there. We'll be there for Corey Richens, day 2 of her preliminary hearing, And basically, they pretty much were. Today was like the end of it. The defense and the prosecution arrested both sides. So tomorrow, if he's going to give Corey Richens an opportunity to talk or testify or whatever in her behalf. So we don't know that yet. And then I'm sure we'll find, whether it'll advance to trial or not. I'm sure we'll learn that tomorrow. So thank you guys for being here. As always, justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe. And y'all, I forgot to mention my Uncle Charles's his birthday, y'all. The other day, I was like, oh my God. I mean, I wrote this long. It was long for me. Anyways, I wrote a letter to him. It would have been his 67th birthday. August 17th. And I wrote it before his birthday even came along, and then I didn't post it. I didn't post it on the community wall, and I do that kind of stuff, and I hate that I do that kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't know. It's part of my jacked up process, I didn't. But it doesn't mean I wasn't thinking about him, because I was, and I do all the time. And it makes me want to cry. And and for anybody who missed Colby's live stream or podcast yesterday, it's called Scar Wars. And he's precious. Okay, go check it out. Anyways, love always wins. Justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Letters to God.